I'll tell you right now, we are very different from every other dating coach out there because we approach this from a completely different angle. And from the angle that we approach it, it negates a lot of all the other bullshit. Also, most other dating coaches are simply parroting the guy that came before them. And there was a lot of really terrible, completely unscientific, completely counter to reality advice that came out in the late 90s and the early 2000s when PUA was surging. And everybody has just basically taken that same shit and they repeat it and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. Most of them haven't even bothered to fucking check it against like a psychological study or anything like that. So most of the advice that the other dating coaches are giving you is simply incorrect. It's simply incorrect, and it's mostly based in fear and trying to protect your ego. So, if you never want to get rejected, you shouldn't be here. If you want to get to the point where you love getting rejected because you know that it's only a matter of time, it's only a number of rejections until you get a success, well then you're in the right place. But if you're trying to create a game that that is indirect, that hides your desires, that hides your intentions, that misleads or manipulates or tries to protect your ego, you're harming yourself. You are setting yourself up for failure. You might get her into bed in the short term, but you're not going to have successful relationships. And over time, that's going to eat at you. Anytime that you're making routines out of fear responses, you're going to psychologically harm yourself. And that's not even getting into the objectification of women, the manipulation, the misogyny, all that other shit that classical pickup thinking usually leads you down. You are going to confuse yourself and slow your progress if you split your attention between the advice we give and the advice other people give. That's not saying you can't get advice from other sources. You can't get advice from other date coaching sources. They will confuse you. If you want advice that you can use, study psychology, read about science. Helen Fisher, the one who made a whole career about studying love and human relationships, go to the source material. Don't go to another fucking date coach who's gonna be like, oh, Sasha doesn't know what he's talking about, his game is fucking terrible, and why are you out on the street anyway? You need to be out in the clubs. I can talk to you for hours why all of that is bullshit, right? Clubs are the worst place to go meet women. The club is made to work against you. Like, the idea that men are supposed to go to clubs and bars so they can meet women is one of the biggest social lies ever told. The purpose of the bar is not for you. It's not so you can go there and meet women. That's not what the bar is for. The bar is for selling drinks. That is all it's for. That's it. End of story. If it was for you meeting people, the lights would be up, the music would be low, and you'd actually be able to have a conversation with them. And there are places like that. They're called lounges and singles mixers. When you go to an actual event that's made for people to actually connect with one another, it's incredibly different from a bar or club scene. It facilitates the conversations. So that's how you know anybody who's like, oh yeah, you gotta go to the club and blah, blah, blah. No, they just think it's really fucking cool to go to a club and pick up a chick. And I'll admit, like, I got really good at day game cold approach really fast, and but I still felt like, oh, my night game could be better. And I went down a rabbit hole, and I wasted a bunch of time. And really, what the solution to like getting better at night game was basically being even more like I was in the daytime at night, meaning, if I wasn't instantly getting the kind of reaction that I wanted, then cut my losses and move on. And the only other dating coach that I've ever called for advice is Mark Manson. And you guys should know him because he's a famous author now. But Mark was in the Boston Pickup Lair that I came out of. So he was like one of the OGs. He was like the class before me or whatever. But we could still read his progress thread. So it was obvious what his capabilities were. He said, no. You meet the girl at the bar, it's on instantly, and you're making out within 20 minutes, and then you've left together in less than an hour. That's how you know it's on. That's how fast it happens. That's how fast people react when they really want each other. When you look at the girl and you're like, I really want you, and she goes, yeah, I really want you too, there's no reason to beat around the bush. There's no reason to be indirect. There's no reason to hide any of that stuff. All of that does is just slows your progress, makes you less efficient, and actually creates more areas for you to lose the situation, because you're lying to each other. You're actively lying and manipulating to one another, trying to make the best outcome and put the best face forward. Drop all that shit. Drop it all. Be direct. Put yourself totally out there and let the chips fall where they may. There are enough people on this planet that there's not just one soulmate for you. There are thousands. There are literally thousands of women out there who you could probably marry and have an amazing life with. Is it easy to find them all? No. No, it's not. But that's why we have to have social freedom, so we can sift through all of the options as quickly as possible. When you have social freedom and you're not hesitating to make your approach after approach after approach, rejection doesn't slow you down, people judging you doesn't slow you down, you're not afraid to say exactly what's on your mind, no matter what it might be in the moment, you will sift through so many potential opportunities that it will begin to feel, over time, it will begin to feel almost effortless.